Welcome to the Experience Gap, the insight shop to the rescue, where we turn customer nightmares into teachable moments for businesses. Each week, we bring you real stories of service breakdowns, highlight the moments that matter, and equip businesses with strategies to delight their customers. I'm Kate Complin, the owner of the Insight Shop. I created this podcast to give customers a voice, to share their stories and frustrations, in hopes that companies would take notice, listen, and take action, as customers are your most important assets. Today, joining me is Brett Trainer, founder of the Escapee Collective, where he is on a mission to help 1 million Gen Xers escape the corporate world and take control of their lives. Brett, it's great to have you on my podcast.
No, thanks for having me, Kate. I love this concept for the podcast. So it took me a while to think through which customer experience I want to pick, but I think I've got a good one for you.
All right, that's awesome. And we and the audience are ready to hear about it. So tell the audience about your recent experience with Southwest Airlines and how they forced you to drive 17 hours and the aftermath of that situation. What fell short? What happened, and how did that impact you?
It was 2023, but still fresh on my mind. And it was December 26th, the day after Christmas. We live in Chicago and we were going to fly down. It wasn't even direct. We had to go into Birmingham, Alabama, down into Eastside, Florida. We rented a house, so there was no refunds coming back out of that house. It was myself, my wife, my 3 daughters, and the 3 boyfriends at the time. So 8 of us traveling to go down there. I think we had the 7:15 a.m. flight on the day after Christmas. En route to the airport, we get the notification that our flight was canceled. Like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, because we're not flying into a major city, so there's not a whole lot of alternatives that we're looking at. So literally, we were getting out of car service that brought us there, and everybody's coming from different locations. And we got there, and it was an absolute chaos at Midway Airport. Midway tends to be chaotic anyway, but the flights were canceled. The lines were around the terminal just to talk to an agent. So our flight must have been one of the later ones that got canceled. And we had no idea what was going on. No idea if this was a temporary thing or if we needed to find alternatives. We couldn't even get a hold of anybody, which you can imagine on a normal windstorm, but this was a much bigger deal for Southwest. 7:15 in the morning, we had to make a decision. What are we going to do? So I went to the rental car counter to say, can we drive? Not a chance. Those were already long gone. And so 8 o'clock, we still haven't talked to anybody. We have no idea if this flight's going out later today, tomorrow, 3 days. We Ubered back to our house, which is about an hour from the airport, and basically drove our 3 cars 17 hours down to Seaside, Florida to rent the house. We get in there after midnight.
Thinking about the moment that really mattered to you and your family when you found out your flight was canceled, what could have happened to make you feel like you were in the know?
Just give us any insights, right? If this was temporary, do we hold on? If we flew out the next day, it would be an inconvenience, but we get it. We literally had to make a decision with no information. We luckily made the right decision, but no thanks to Southwest and their communications. I don't think a tweet came out till the day after that even acknowledged what was going on. So that was the start of the journey. One, we made it down there fine, but then trying to get reimbursements, you would think that they know flights were canceled, that they would automatically refund your money. Right. I wouldn't have to submit for refunds, which we ended up refunded on January 5th. So 2 full weeks after that. It did send out in the communication that, hey, we'll reimburse you for other expenses without being super clear. So I wanted my Uber back that we had to get out. That took another 2 weeks to get that processed, and that was only $149. So we didn't even go through some of the other expenses to do that. The back and forth just to get that $149, it almost wasn't worth my time to do it. The one thing I thought they did well fairly early in there was, hey, this was a system-wide failure. We apologize. Here's 25,000 miles for each of you and your party, just as a goodwill gesture. That is a goodwill gesture, but everything that happened after that was just a grind, and it really didn't have to be. If we didn't have those flight credits, we probably never would have flown them again, just because of the inconvenience that put us through.
Mm-hmm. So I imagine you had to drive your cars back then afterwards.
drive them back and put some of our, like I said, future son-in-laws in charge of vehicles that the driving. And again, we hadn't even planned on doing that.
Right.
So if we wouldn't have rented a house, I don't know, because they weren't going to refund our money. So there really was no choice but to
Right.
do that. So it was less than ideal. It was a huge inconvenience. And then they just doubled down on it by making it hard to get our money back.
Right.
Right, where you think it would have gone the other way to say, hey, we're going to take a hit on this anyway, so let's just everybody who bought a ticket, here's your money back. I don't understand why that didn't happen.
So, what was the process that you had to go through to get your tickets refunded and to get your Uber ride reimbursed?
Tickets I had to submit online through their process. If I didn't want flight credits back, I'm like, no, I want money back. You're not giving me the flight credit one on this one because I'm not sure we'll fly you again. Then they partnered with some other cash app to do the reimbursements for like Uber or if I had to stay in a hotel. And just submitting those receipts online was absolutely tedious. And I guess, man, you don't have a process for this in place. But the
Yeah.
thing that really grinded me as it came out early, that Southwest knew that this potential existed because they hadn't
Uh-huh.
invested in the infrastructure
Hmm.
and they were operating off of really old equipment. They chose to roll the dice. Midway for us is a little more inconvenient. It's further away, but I liked Southwest because you could pick your seats and the bags were
Hmm.
free. So it
Hmm.
was worth a little bit of the inconvenience.
Hmm.
Since that time, we have not flown them again, other than when we had our miles that we had to reimburse because of that. So now they've completely flipped and gone away from free bags and the pick your seat anyway. So that's a whole separate story. I was just really, really disappointed because of their reputation with customer service. So this one, I was more of a overall process problem than any of the individuals because when he did talk to somebody finally they were friendly but they really didn't know what was going on either. Just super frustrating.
In summary, Brett, how should have the experience with Southwest Airlines gone for you and your family?
At least give us what information you have. They held it too close. We had no idea. And it turned out to be like a 4-day problem. So it was mass cancellations across the board. But for the early folks, just saying, hey, we've got a problem. We're working on it. But they just, I don't know if they were thinking if they could minimize it, get it fixed. But not getting this information, we had to roll the dice and it could have made it worse. Say that was only an hour and all of a sudden we're halfway to, Birmingham via car and the
Right.
flights are going to start taking off. Plus, there was no help. And again, at that late stage the day after Christmas, you're not getting on other flights with other airlines. I just think communication, they had to have known how big this problem was once it happened. So they probably knew in their mind there's not a chance in hell that any of these flights are going out for 48 hours at best. Let us know that. Don't make the process so complicated to make me jump through hoops for 104. It's just like, hey, we're going to take a loss. And I thought I saw in the press later that they did have a write-off for this massive event. So was it worth putting your customers through even more inconvenience just to make sure nobody was taking advantage of $149? I highly doubt it, right?
So, what I'm hearing, Brett, is communicate early and often so that your customers can make a choice on what they need to do to get to where they need to go. And then they bought a ticket, so just reimburse them. Why have them go through any process? You already have their credit card information.
Right.
And then get customer feedback on tools and technology you're using so that you can make sure you're optimizing and streamlining processes in the future for when those things do go wrong.
Early on, they sent out that communication on the 25,000 miles per person. All right, maybe they are on. Sorry. I thought maybe they were on top of this, that the communication was there. Allegedly, it was from the CEO that made the decision. But then everything after that was back to, as you would expect, looking for a refund. And I would say refunds from non-customer centric companies, right? They make you
Right.
go through hoops if you want to return something. Where others that are really good, just return it, we'll honor it. And they know they're going to get taken advantage of sometimes. But in this case, it seemed to go counter to everything what their brand was built off of, the way they handled this.
Yes. And for you personally, and a lot of other passengers, I'm sure if you're going to follow up with a $25,000 reward, that's great. But then the rest of the experience has to match. The 25,000 miles aren't enough to have you become a customer again when they don't follow through, providing a good customer experience across the whole experience.
I think I would think even right because I would expect this from a United or American, just the way it is. But Southwest was always just a little bit different, so I gave them
Yeah.
the benefit of the doubt. So if you're a brand out there that is prided on experience and customer service, And I can't believe I'm the only customer that then felt this way about Southwest after that. I mean, my whole family, was only 8 of us, but multiply
Yeah,
that by how many other people were impacted that were
right.
giving Southwest the benefit of the doubt. I guarantee you they're not either.
It's important to make sure you're standing up to your brand promise and living it every day.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I really appreciate your feedback and your story and sharing it with others. Hopefully, Southwest Airlines will listen in, take note, and make changes in the future.
But
According to 2025 World Aviation Festival, passengers are no longer looking for merely a transactional experience. They want to feel recognized, known, and cared for, infused with personalization and emotional connection. From booking to baggage claims, travelers expect seamless, efficient, and stress-free interactions, including quick and simple check-ins, accurate gate timing information, dependable onboard service, and friendly, available staff. Also, JD Power's study showed that passengers rated courteous treatment by airline staff as equal to or more important than on-time arrivals, which underscores the impact of human touch, especially during disruptions like you had, Brett.
yeah.
The most important moments in the airline journey are an intuitive booking process, transparent pricing, easy options for seat selection, and travelers really do expect proactive and timely communication around check-in reminders, updated itineraries, or itinerary changes. The experience should be fast and convenient, and long wait times, confusing processes, or airport confusion can quickly sour the experience. Delays and
Yeah.
cancellations are inevitable, but timely and empathetic communication and proactive rebooking, even before passengers realize there's an issue, are key opportunities to build trust.
Just one type maybe balk on that because it became clear after the fact that Southwest knew that there was a problem with their flight before we left for the airport. So even the night before that these issues were starting to pop up, but they didn't notify us until we're 10 minutes from the airport. And that would have given timely information back to the point that 100% we expect that. I appreciate you letting me vent on this too. It's been a couple years, but I feel better.
I'm so glad. Well, thank you, Brett, for sharing your story about your Southwest airline experience, the moments that matter to you, the problems you encountered, and your summary of how the experience should have gone for you.
Kate, it's a great idea.
And thanks for listeners for tuning in to the Experience Gap, the Insight Shop to the rescue, helping businesses turn frustration into delight, one experience at a time.